So, Jordan Peterson leaving Twitter. This is a little late. I've had family over. Whatever. Jordan Peterson leaving Twitter. Sort of. He's going to maintain a Twitter account and have his sort of minions post his propaganda to Twitter in a way that he is insulated from the criticism that he receives. And yeah, honestly, sometimes some quite nasty, vituperative. That's how Twitter. That's how Twitter is. It really is. Um, he's leaving over some comments made about Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition and some like non-standard model body type people gracing the cover. Uh, God, I'm so uninterested in the event that I don't know any of the person's names, but perfectly reasonably attractive humans, I suppose. And Jordan suggests that these folks are unattractive and there's some kind of authoritarian tolerance at work where they're trying to make Jordan Peterson be individually attractive to a plus size bikini model. Uh, yeah. So that comment is really regressive, and I mean, he deserves a lot of the stuff he's getting on Twitter. Maybe direct insults, maybe not direct insults. I'm not here to judge all that, I suppose. There are a lot of presuppositions here. The most bizarre thing about this comment is the idea of authoritarian tolerance. These are words that fundamentally don't go together. Tolerance is fundamentally, at its core, anti-authoritarian. That's what tolerance means, is not being told who to like and who to love and who to get along with and who to be friends with and who to allow in your classroom. It's fundamentally anti-authoritarian. Throwing those words together, it's a classic Jordan Peterson trick. Use a bunch of big words that don't have any meaning when assembled and act as though they do. And then, if you could have a conversation with him about it and explain, and he'd just be like, well, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. And you could never find out. You could never get him to stand in a place and say what I meant was X, and then defend that position, and then give that position up when it was proven to be facile or illogical. Some debates I might try and link you. Is it Matt Dillahunty and Shermer maybe going after him, and just how hard he is to pin down on even the simplest thing. Okay, so there's that. Authoritarian tolerance. No such thing as authoritarian tolerance. People who want to be intolerant, we can't tell them not to be intolerant. We can tell systems that, but we can't tell individual people to be tolerant of other people. No one's trying to get you to like plus size models if you don't already, especially as an individual. Stop it. The next thing would be the idea that Sports Illustrated and fashion agencies and whoever come about the feminine ideal that's been presented to us in modernity, honestly. That what they've done is shown people a lot of pictures of models and then picked out who was on average the most attractive model by public ratings, focus groups. That just is not the case at all. Sports Illustrated, what Jordan is really claiming here underneath, the sort of skeeziness, is that Sports Illustrated wants to be a taste maker, and the taste that they're trying to make is somehow fundamentally, essentially incorrect. That people won't go for plus size swimsuit models. That ultimately is the claim. And the fashion industry has been taste making for as long as there has been a fashion industry, right? That's it. Why do hemlines go up and down? It's not about the preferences of the culture. It's not focus grouped. It's because a designer has decided hemlines are going to go up this year, hemlines are going to go down this year, whatever it is. And body types are really no different from that. Okay, so if you look at who was winning Miss Universe, winning major beauty pageants in the 1950s, those ladies would be plus size models now. Models have gotten steadily lighter, steadily less heavy over the last 70 or so years. Again, I'll try and find, this is old news, man. I'll try and find some charts and link you, or maybe I'll put it right there. And that isn't by accident. It's not because men are just sitting around idealizing women and collectively idealizing one body type, just by accident. We, I suppose, are fed images of women, and we grow up with those images and idealize those images. So women in the 50s were expected to have a certain amount of, let's say, padding, body fat. And by the 90s or so, women were expected to be quite slender. And by the 2000s, both slender and large-chested. This is possibly part of the pervasive influence of Playboy and other sorts of magazines that kind of followed their lead on those types. And like in the 2020s, women are expected to be both low body fat and quite fit. Some muscle tone. And those are tastes. That stuff didn't arise out of the ether. It arose out of talent scouts going around recruiting models, photographing those models, and serving them up to us in the public in quite a systemic way. So let's go back to this claim that Sports Illustrated is trying to be a tastemaker, and they, shouldn't try to make fat girls tasteful or desirable. So now, when you know that tastes are going to be made, they're going to be made by somebody, one way or another, you can evaluate that claim a little bit differently, right? Yeah? Because now, what Jordan is saying is, we should only let thin girls be attractive. We shouldn't tell people to be attracted to fat girls. We should tell them to be attracted to thin girls. Because it's happening one way or another, right? The industry is not neutral on this issue. The industry is not finding out what people find attractive and serving that up. They're serving up, right? Through all sorts of manipulation, too. They are photoshopping away any sort of cellulite or wrinkles or stretch marks, any blemishes, right? They're grabbing women's eyes and widening the irises so that she looks sexually attracted to the photographer, and like adding color in the cheeks and shaving off and whatever. Stretching the legs so that she looks more sexually mature, right? The bodies being presented to us aren't even possible. They're not even real bodies. This is corrosive. The Zuck over at the Facebook knew that young women looking at Instagram were having their self-esteem damaged because the images being presented to them were just not realistic images. And we've known this for a long time about those images in general, and fashion media in general. It damages women's self-esteem because they cannot conform to those kinds of standards, right? So if we're going to make taste, should we should we make males attracted only to impossibly thin and even anorexic women? Another possible link, if I can find her, the French fashion model who eventually died of her anorexia, because this is how the industry is, right? So Jordan Peterson can f off into the sun. Okay, that's fine. Go hang out in the sun and take your little proto-fascism with you too. And then there's this maybe even more important question. Why would a sports digest, a magazine about sport, have a swimsuit issue? Is it to cover trends in swimwear? Well, the people reading about sports are predominantly, by a large margin, dudes. And are dudes buying bikinis? Well, are they buying bikinis for their lovers and their daughters and their wives? No, absolutely not. No woman on earth wants their male companion buying their swimwear. This is a very difficult process, in part because of all this shame we've been developing of going and finding a thing that reveals and conceals and fits in just the right way to get the job done. Um, so this is soft pornography. It is culturally celebrated soft pornography. Every time the swimsuit edition comes out, they're doing something to get kind of front and center for 15 seconds in the media, so that all the men will go out and buy their swimsuit magazine so they can look at pretty ladies scantily clad. And like this is 2022, people. You can go online and look at all of the naked bodies in any body composition that you could ever possibly want. And then that times 30 million, okay? There's no reason to have a pornographic issue of the Sports Illustrated. It is passe and sexist. So that's it. That's my time. Thanks for hanging out with the Black Pill. Catch you later.